Let's talk about your hair. How long has it been since you've had it cut now?
Feels like a year. Probably been about 8 weeks.
8 weeks?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Pardon?
Was it done in Burlington?
The last time, yeah.
Yeah, so that was
2 months?
2 months.
Yeah. Typically, it's quite a bit shorter.
Yeah. Although I'm going to leave it in you're an expert. I'm going to leave it in your hands.
Do you prefer kind of clean around the ear, or do you like having a little bit of hair over top?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So yeah, basically, I think what's a good idea is we'll follow the same kind of shape that you have, and just kind of tidy things up a little bit.
Lovely.
So, I like what's going on,
Yeah.
and I think just a little bit of tweaking.
Okay. If you can tidy up everything, that would be
So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna take this shape and we're just gonna tighten everything up. Probably remove about 1 inch to 1.5 inches everywhere, and just go in and strengthen up the structure.
Dennis.
And tidy everything.
Dennis, you're getting approval from Wanda, are you?
Yeah.
I'm not in this video.
So now I understand that you are, or you have, written a book.
Yes.
Please tell me about this.
The book is called 30 Pieces.
30 pieces.
Yes.
And what is this book about?
Well, it starts in Glasgow. There is a very famous art school in Glasgow called the Glasgow School of Modern Art. When they talk about modern art in the UK, this is all Victorian.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a terrible fire there, and it destroyed much of the library. And this is where my book takes place. During the restoration of the library, they found a book that shouldn't be there. And the curator of the library, he had a friend, and he said, this book, he says, I cannot read Latin, and some of it's in archaic French. He says, it doesn't really belong here. I'm not sure what it is. Can you help me and see what it is, where it belongs? So anyway, his friend comes over and starts looking at it. He says, well, I just can't do this, sitting here at the desk.
Right.
So I've got to take it home and have a look at this. So anyway, he takes it home, starts reading through, and what he can make out, it was the last confession and will of Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templars.
Ooh.
And anyway, it goes from there. He gets his other friend involved because his other friend is much more versed in reading this. And at the same time, a conspiracy unfolds. Someone else within the library knows that this book has been found, and contacts some people in the United States. These people know that this book existed, but they never knew where and when it was, and they want to destroy it because it reveals something within the Bible, particularly the New Testament, that is a little contrary to the normal Bible, and it goes from there. This conspiracy brings in another chap from the United States, which helps these people to have the book escape up to the Highlands of Scotland, from there to France, and then on to the Vatican, where this book is finally translated, and it's quite amazing what they translate.
I can't wait to read it.
It's been edited, and I'm just having a few people read it just to see that, sometimes you write something and you think, it didn't really that interesting.
Right.
Wanda's read it, my wife, she thinks it's good.
She has to.
I know, that's my worry.
Yeah. Honestly, I think wives often can be the best critics. Talk to me about the process. First of all, what inspired you
Well,
to write this?
I was in sales for the longest time, and I would do reams of writing. I would do industrial surveys of companies, of money uses, of material use. And but one of these days I'm just going to write for pleasure. And so that's what I did. I sat down and did a little synopsis of how I thought the book would go, broke it down into the chapters and that. And once I got into the book, I was in another world.
Really?
I was in a world and I thoroughly enjoyed it. the amount of research you have to do on different things, and
Yeah.
computers are, I mean, just great help, what you can get into. So yeah.
So did you find yourself going down any rabbit holes that you didn't expect to go down in your research?
Some of it, yeah. Especially the beginnings of, how can I say, not so much the beginnings of Christianity, but the beginnings of Judaism, where it really originally came from. And that goes right back to Abraham and the pharaohs, Akhenaten. And don't get me wrong, I'm not particularly religious.
Mhm.
I'm not an atheist.
Yeah.
I'm what you would call a philosophical Christian.
Right.
The reason why I say that is I still find it, if you really adhere to its true beliefs, it's one of the most gentle religions going. But we really have crucified, I shouldn't use that one. So eventually what the book really comes out to reveal is it has the transcript of Jesus' trial with the Sanhedrin and then with Pontius Pilate.
Oh.
And what it really points out is that the Sanhedrin, or the Jewish religion, did not find him guilty. It was really Pontius Pilate.
Oh wow.
And yeah, a lot of people don't want that.
Yeah,
a lot of people, there's still a lot of hatred with anti-Semitism and that. And so anyway, the enemy in this book is it's called the Evangelical Church of the Savior, which is a southern church down in the States, which has ties to white militancy and that. So it gets a little complicated.
It sounds pretty interesting.
I did enjoy writing it, so now we just have to see what happens.
What was the biggest challenge you faced in writing? How did you know where to start?
Well, I've always been very interested in biblical history, the true biblical history, not the miracles and the saints and all this, but where our religion really came from, the basis of it. So that's what got me going. And then when I was reading an article about this terrible fire at the Glasgow School of Modern Art, I thought, I've got a way of towing into this and making a little conspiracy out of this, and that's how I started. And of course, the title of the book, 30 Pieces, within the New Testament, that supposedly was what Judas betrayed Jesus with.
Right.
Jesus' real
30
name.
pieces of silver.
Yeah.
Correct.
His real name in Hebrew was Joshua ben David. Jesus is the Greek translation of that name.
Oh.
And really the 30 pieces of silver was the amount of money that the Sanhedrin had given Judas, because Judas was Jesus' bookkeeper. And that's well documented within the Gnostic Gospels.
Really?
Yeah. And the 30 pieces was, there were people within the there was and oh my God, the political situation that was going on at the time with Rome, with the emperor. Anyway, he had a chap that was trying to overthrow him, and finally he overthrew, what was his name? See? Age, slipping with things. Herod, who does not get a good name within the Bible, but the Herod that we're dealing with is the son of Herod. And within the Hebrew dynastic monarchy, I guess you could say, there was always two kings. There was the corporal king, which was Herod, and there was always the Messiah. And that happened with Solomon and King David, and Jesus was trying to bring that back, and a lot of people within Israel at that time wanted to bring it back.
Right.
So he had a movement within the Sanhedrin that wanted him to be that. Herod had accepted that, and so they had given money, because it cost a lot of money to have an audience with the king at that time, Herod. So they gave it to Judas so he could pay the court custodians to get to see Herod.
Oh.
And that's well documented too. So a lot of what is in the book is based on history. I've just tweaked it a little to make it more interesting.
that sounds pretty interesting already. And so at this point, you're looking for a publisher?
Once I've had it read, I've got a couple of people reading it. I want to get some feedback, and then I'm going to be looking for. I've got a friend that says she has a publisher here in Canada, so let's see. It'd be nice.
Sounds like it would make for a good movie.
Well, there's a lot of. They travel from Glasgow up through the Highlands of Scotland, and I don't know if you've ever been through the Highlands of Scotland. It is beautiful countryside.
Never been.
And then from there, they have to escape from there with the help of a friend to the island of Arran. And Arran is like the Highlands in miniature. It's absolutely a beautiful island. And from there, they go by a luxury cruiser or a yacht to France. And then from France to Rome. And they're hunted.
I think I want to be the actor in this movie.
And they're hunted the whole way. And it does come to a very violent conclusion in part of the book.
Oh.
So you have to
Very intrigued.
You have to have a little bit of bloodshed here and there.
Of course. Who doesn't love a little bit of
Yeah.
violence every now and again?
What Wanda keeps scolding me about, though, within the book, a lot of it is based on people I know, friends, and I've used their characters.
Ah.
And I've changed the names slightly, which we haven't changed them enough.
They're gonna know you're talking about them. They're gonna know.
She took us to a couple of places. We went to a great little Spanish restaurant there. Well, my sister got tipsy and walked into the men's washroom.
I love it.
I look half decent.
No, you look whole decent.
Well, I must say, this has been a pleasure.
For me as well.
Oh.
Very, very interesting story.
Well, when I get it back, I'll make sure you get one of the first copies.
Oh, awesome. I would love it. I would absolutely love it.